Mitt Romney politically.
Yeah.
But as far as like a great human being, a funny, really humorous person, and someone who cared genuinely about people, that was Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
And so this week I went back for his final staff Christmas party, and I attended that. And it was cool to see him again. And,
Yeah, it
and
would've
I
been
brought my
cool.
wife out, and we got pictures with him on his last week in the office, and a really cool experience. He was a great boss. And you know, you mentioned these parting thoughts that he has. He was someone who, when we would debate over issues or talk, you know, on senior staff about how to approach certain topics, I remember one time he came up with an idea, and I was very leery of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Senator Romney, and I hope I'm not sharing too much, but I won't talk about the topic. But I said, you know, I worry politically in Utah it will be seen, and across the country it will be seen. And he goes, let me stop you right there, Adam. He goes, do you not think that I understand the politics of something? And I go, all right. No, yeah, I guess I'm wrong. Go ahead, do what you're going to do. He understood. He just didn't care.
Yeah.
He was like, this is how we're going to message it. This is what I believe. And it's going to play out how it's going to play out. And even though it may be bad for me, I'm going to do it anyway because I think it's the right thing to do, which I thought was great. It was so fun to work. And of course, the question that everyone had on their minds was, what are Romney's thoughts on Trump heading into this next administration?
I agree with President Trump on most policy issues. There are probably a few that I don't, but overwhelmingly, we're on the same page. As a matter of fact, if you look at my record when he was president, I voted with him, I think, even more than Senator Lee. All right, so I'm a conservative, and he put in place, by and large, conservative policies on public lands, on spending, and a number of things. So I agree with a lot of what President Trump will do. The areas I had difficulty with President Trump were character areas. And the sexual assault decision by the court. What shall I say, a relaxed relationship with the truth. There are a number of things that I found to be very troubling on a character front, and that prevented me from supporting him.
I thought that was a nice term he came up with there, a relaxed relationship with the truth. That is spot on Romney right there.
And that's true. Every op-ed we've seen from him, every comment has all just been like, you know what? I'm voting for this bill because I think it's the right thing to do, or I'm not because it's the wrong thing to do. What I can't, I'm fine with policy disagreements, but I don't like liars.
Yeah, he was straightforward. And so after all that's gone on, folks wanted to ask him about, does he fear any retribution from President Trump?
I think President Trump, in his Meet the Press interview a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago, said he's focused on forward. I think that's probably the course he will take. And there's not something in my past that I'm particularly worried about someone taking a look at. I've been pretty careful in my life to follow the law.
I think his past is pretty clean.
Well,
I don't see a lot of skeletons in that closet.
When he was running for president, they could only go back to like his college days when or like high school days when he was at a prep school. And one time they shaved, like some of the friends bullied a kid and shaved their head. A bad thing that happened in high school, of course, but there wasn't anything in his personal or professional life that they had to worry about.
Yeah. So Romney also talked about how he believes Trump is going to get after some issues in the country.
I think what you're going to see is he is going to stop the immigration mess. I mean, how in the world did Joe Biden let immigration become the problem it's become? I mean, what was he thinking? I simply can't figure out why they handed such a political issue to the Republicans and to his opponents. But he did. I think Donald Trump will fix that.
I think I love hearing him just kind of, he's talking so freely. Maybe he just feels unburdened, right? Unburdened from the past at this point. I can't remember where I heard that. Where he just makes a great point of how in the world did Biden let that problem get away so badly? I thought his perspective on it was refreshing and candid. You know,
we'll finish out with Romney talking about some of his concerns in the financial state of things in the country.
We also have not begun to balance our budget or get close to it. The debt continues to rise dangerously. We will ultimately have calamity in our country unless we deal with the fact that we spend more than we take in. And one party wants to keep spending more and more. The other party wants to keep lowering taxes more and more. And guess what? If you lower revenues and increase spending, you're not going to ever come to a point where you balance your budget. So some of those things are frustrations. I care very deeply about them and hope that my colleagues are able to take them on in a way that I was unsuccessful in accomplishing.
All right, some fascinating direct thoughts from Senator Romney. We're going to keep talking about more of them when we come back. Stay with us.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
A house explosion this afternoon.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a gnaw. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Does it matter?
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call tow cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28, in-store only.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. There are lots of mortgage lenders out there, so why choose Fink and McGregor? Here are some good reasons. We are a broker. That means we can shop loan terms on your behalf, including loan programs, rates, and closing costs. We make it easy. We can take your application within a few short minutes, either on the phone or in person, on our fast application website, 4minutemortgage.com. We can help sift through options to find the best solution for you. This can include loan programs, credit fixes, or loan strategies. We are fast, really fast. Most loans close within a couple weeks. Start to finish, we are here for you. Apply today at 4minutemortgage.com. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
Advanced Window Products offers grabber window covers. High-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. Senator Romney has made a name for himself in the political world, especially in just a one term as a United States senator. He didn't always fall in line. I know this is shocking to a lot of folks. Didn't always fall in line with other Republicans. And sometimes, one time notably during impeachment, he would stand alone. It caused quite a stir among right-leaning folks in Utah and the nation, and many have questioned whether or not he's still even a true conservative or a true Republican anymore. And Rusty, here with Rusty Cannon, my co-host, we listened to a clip last segment of Mitt Romney talking about whether he's a conservative or a Republican, and whether he still sees himself as a member of the Republican Party. And he said, "I voted with Donald Trump more than Senator Lee."
Yeah.
And it was really funny that when Senator Lee was campaigning, he was campaigning as, "I'm a close ally of Donald Trump, but I don't always vote with him." And Mitt Romney even votes more with Trump than with me.
Yeah.
And I think there was about 20% difference, which is quite a bit, 180, 160.
Yeah.
And so he voted a lot with Donald Trump on the policies in which he agreed. Mike Lee and Mitt Romney would sometimes stand together to fight against the administration, which not a lot of people realize. If you remember during the border fight, he wanted to move money from the military to border construction. And Mitt Romney and Mike Lee both said, "Heck no, you're not doing that. That's unconstitutional." It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said it was okay. You could do it if you declared it an emergency. And so they did. And so I think people have this black and white view in Washington, D.C. of this bill is conservative or this is not. And really, any single bill being run, you can find something you hate in it. I promise you.
Oh, absolutely.
In any bill that's ever run, even bills that I love, there are some things that are atrocious in them. And that's kind of the part of deal making and policy making. And so Mitt Romney, in his last press conference here in Utah today, he was asked about whether he still considers himself to be a conservative.
I am a Republican, consider myself a Republican. I'm a narrow slice, if you will. What we used to call the mainstream Republicans, the stream has gotten a little smaller. It's more like the Main Creek Republicans now. But there are a number of us, but I believe that I fall in the tradition of Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush and George W. Bush and John McCain, and I believe all of them would say they are proud Republicans and would agree on a whole host of issues. I mean, I'm a conservative. I'm a classic conservative, and that doesn't mean. I mean, my dad used to say that he's as progressive as Lincoln and as conservative as the Constitution, and I've always felt that's a good characterization. There's some areas where I'm progressive, where people think, "Wow, you're pretty moderate on that." There are others where I'm pretty darn conservative.
It's interesting. I, in just my opinion, I think he got pulled away by some on messaging as far as his conservatism over his spats with Trump, right? And in character. And I think he's right. If you look at the way he voted and typically kind of ideologically stood, he's very conservative. And, there's issues, pick here and there where many of us would be a little bit more moderate. But I think he's right. He makes a great point that he has kind of stuck to the knitting as far as being a conservative and a member of the Republican Party. One other thing that he was asked about that I wanted to get your thoughts on, Adam, was his thoughts on the recent election and why Democrats did so poorly in this election and how the Republican Party has changed. Let's listen.
The Democrat Party had a coalition of, I'll call them pointy-headed liberal faculty at Harvard, right? And that type, if you will, the elite, the education elite, and then the working class voters, and as well as minorities. That was kind of their coalition. And a couple of things happened. One was some of these, if you will, elite progressives started saying some absolutely nutty stuff. All right? Defund the police. In the inner cities, the idea of defunding the police is about as crazy as you're going to possibly hear. And so they lost a lot of people living in the inner cities, including minorities. Open borders, allowing millions. What the New York Times article 2 days ago said, 8 million additional individuals came into the country, most illegally under Biden. Hispanic individuals found that to be offensive. The whole transgender and biological males competing in girls' sports, that drove a lot of working families and minorities out of the Democratic Party and moved them towards the Republican Party. And then Donald Trump and his rhetoric was only so good at drawing them in. So the Republican Party is now, I think if you look at the polling and demographics, the Republican Party is now the class of working America.
You know, it's an interesting way to put it. I thought he summed it. I loved his term, if I wrote it down right, pointy heads at the
pointy-headed faculty members.
Yeah, pointy heads coming up with
the elites.
What he called nutty ideas. He mentioned 3: defund the police, the open borders, and then transgender in sports. I remember reading after the election, I think it was someone in the Trump campaign was talking about how effective, based on polling, they found that ad that they ran on transgender.
They spent $200 million on that ad.
Yeah, because I think it was working. They were finding it was working. And I think the tagline at the end was something to the effect of, she's with they, them, and he's with you. Or something
that's
like
actually,
that.
From a political science, a campaign strategy, man, that line is something that sticks with you. And every campaign needs something like that. Yeah. And holy cow, that works.
Yeah.
It wasn't your hope and change like the Obama, but that's what works. So you look at what you just said, where Senator Romney says, look, you have defunding the police, you lost a lot of the inner city and minority vote.
Yes.
That traditionally has gone to Democrats.
Yeah. In shocking ways. There was significant movement in the statistics out of cities.
Look at Jamal Brown. One of the squad members, liberal New York, AOC spent a ton of time trying to help him get elected. He got squashed.
Yeah, I remember.
He was a defund the police, anti-Semitic guy, and people just were sick of it. They weren't having it anymore. So with open borders, you lost Hispanics, especially those on the border. Some of those communities that for the last 100 years have gone for Democrats, completely flipped.
Yeah.
And by large percentages went for Donald Trump. The trans issue in sports, you lost a lot of families, a lot of women that may be more Democratic, more educated women that were sick of the rhetoric on allowing transgenders in sports. And you just said with that polling data, it seemed to work.
Yeah, I remember specifically reading an article too. I can't remember if we talked about it on the air before, but that came down to be just one of the absolute, golden tickets that they had in the final days of that campaign. Where, as you mentioned, they just pumped it so hard with a lot of money. But that closing line, they found it to be so effective as they pulled it and they ran it. And I think Senator Romney had a good point of just they were running down those lanes, and the counterattacks on those lanes was so effective that. Democrats really did quite poorly in the election, and I know we've deconstructed a lot of that, but I think it's fun to see Senator Romney mention that as well. I assume this is his last press conference, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think this has got to be it for him. And we've tried over the last couple of months to get him on the show, and he's just done.
Yeah.
And I talked to a member of his former staff. And he said he had another request to try and get him on another program. And he said, if I laid on the tracks and said that this train will run over me unless you do something, he'd say, choo-choo, and just let that thing go so he doesn't have to do any more of these of interviews. And what I really liked, and I kind of wanted to just finish on this point here, a lot of the traditional Republican, he called it Main Street Republicanism, that mainstream Republicanism, and that stream is getting smaller and smaller.
Now a creek.
It's a little, in Utah we call it a crick.
Yeah, that's right.
And really, I think it's important to note that a lot of I consider myself like a Chamber of Commerce type business Republican, and George Bush has fallen completely out of favor with the MAGA movement. And again, this is fine. I'm not commenting one way or the other. but it's completely fallen out of favor. George Herbert Walker Bush was one of my favorite political figures ever, and Ronald Reagan, and those that type of style of getting stuff done has really fallen out of favor. We get to see a second act of this play with Donald Trump, and it's going to be fun to watch over the next couple of years. I want to let listeners know to make sure that you're signed up to get KSL's newsletter with the 3 things you need to know each day. Just text inbox to 57500 to get started. That's inbox to 57500 to get started. When we return on Inside Sources, we're going to hear what Senator Romney has to say about Senator-elect John Curtis and what's in store for his own political future. We'll be right back.
It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill says he will not file charges related to the death of the police service dog Loki. July of last year, Loki was found dead in his handler's truck near the Utah State Prison. It was later determined that Loki had likely died of a heat stroke. Housing advocates say they would like to see more Utahns take advantage of a program that helps people in need with rent. KSL TV reports the state renter refund program helps seniors as well as widows and widowers with as much as $1,200, depending on their income. Tara Rollins is part of the Utah Housing Coalition.
People are strapped with their rent, and we need extra help.
Work has been done to try and expand the program. Proposals in the state legislature have gotten stuck over the past several years. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. U.S. obesity rates are down for the first time in over a decade, dropped from 46% in 2022 to 45.6% last year. Researchers conducting the study in the JAMA Health Forum credit factors like increased physical activity after the COVID pandemic, as well as the rise of weight loss medications, including Ozempic and Wegovy. Your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average is down now, 87 points on the day, while the NASDAQ has turned the corner and it's up 21 right now. And our KSL weather, we've got some sunshine, but that's just today. Tomorrow it's clouds and possibly rain. KSL News Time, 1:32.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Are you suffering from constant fatigue, joint pain, or digestive issues? Do you have brain fog, anxiety, or depression? Have you seen multiple doctors and still don't have any answers? Have you been told over and over that your blood tests are normal, but you're just not feeling well? At Transformative Medicine, they use specialized testing to find the root cause of the problem and then use cutting-edge therapies to treat it. Call Transformative Medicine today at 844-TALK-2-DOC and receive a free consultation. Finally, get to the root of the problem and have the answers you've been waiting for. Don't wait to get your life back. The first 25 people to call Transformative Medicine at 844-TALK-2-DOC will receive a consultation absolutely free. That's 844-TALK-2-DOC. 844-TALK-2-DOC.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, Dee and I had the chance to see Beauty and the Beast, Disney's Beauty and the Beast, at Hale Center Theater. It is something you do not want to miss this holiday season. The voices delivering those beloved songs to perfection is simply wonderful. I asked Dee, what was your favorite part? And she's seen a lot of versions of Beauty and the Beast, literally around the world. She said, where do you possibly start on this? But the costumes were spectacular. She loved Belle's ensemble. With Hale Center Theater's magic, it is incredible. The staging and the special effects, the transformation from Beast to the Prince is simply masterful. Hale Center Theater, don't miss Beauty and the Beast. And give a gift of Hale Center Theater. Whether it's tickets to A Christmas Carol, gift cards make a great gift, season tickets to the 2025 season, it awaits you. Go to hct.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have some leftover delays from an earlier accident southbound I-15, South Salt Lake and Murray, but a report of a new crash, and it's I-15 not far from 7200 South. It had been blocking a right lane. Looks like they're trying to get it moved out of traffic. Select dates through December 24th. Stop by the Entertainment Plaza at Jordan Landing Shopping Center to get a photo with Santa. Visit jordanlanding.com for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're done with snow for today, but tomorrow we'll see some light rain and more snow on Sunday. Right now we're at 39 degrees. It's mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomitz from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm your co-host, Rusty Cannon, here with Adam Gardner. We've been covering Senator Romney's last press conference today here in Utah, where he covered a lot of topics. And we wanted to start this segment by talking about the future, both for himself and for Senator-elect John Curtis. First, he shared his support and endorsement of the incoming Senator John Curtis.
No, I think he's going to the Senate to do things. I don't think he is someone who's focused on performance as much as he is focused on doing the job for our state. And he's not alone. There are a lot of senators, both sides of the aisle, that go there to get stuff done. The performers are more in the House, I think, in part because they got to perform every 2 years, than in the Senate. But there are a lot of people in both houses that want to get things done, and he's one of them. I think he, so far, he has made very positive impressions on the members of the Republican caucus. I've had a number of people, there are almost 50 of us in the Republican Senate group. I've had a number of senators come to me and say, sorry to see you go, but I'm really happy to see that your replacement is such a fine person and comes with such a great reputation. Having served in the House as effectively as he has, he's got a lot of people sort of, giving him recommendations, I think he will have an outsized impact in the Senate.
Look, John Curtis has passed something like 22 bills in his time in the House of Representatives,
which is a lot.
If you have any idea how hard it is to pass a bill, this guy's done it 22 times. And for him to be coming into the Senate with that same type of work ethic, he's got a great staff, a great state staff. They're super helpful. He is all over the state all the time. He holds 30 to 50 town halls a year. He is so dialed into his district, and I just think he's going to be fantastic for the state. Now we all get to experience him as our congressman. We're all going to be in his district now, and I think he's just going to be doing a fantastic job. What I've found so remarkable over the last few weeks is his name keeps appearing on these random lists of these are the people that have blocked this nomination. And his name ends up on half of them.
Yeah.
And when I would talk to their office, and KSL News Radio would reach out to their office for comment, and we'd get the same stories of, we haven't met with this person.
Yeah.
We haven't said one way or another how we're going to vote on this person. And our name keeps coming up as like this obstructionist. We're not in office yet. We've never taken a vote. I haven't been sworn in. And but that just shows that people are expecting him to be in the middle of every conversation, and they're trying to win his support early.
So the word that comes to mind as I've gotten to know John Curtis over the years, and especially now, for me, is genuine. So as an example, you walk into a meeting. I had a meeting at their office this week when I was there. You walk in. He knows who you are, but he genuinely reminds you that he knows who you are, right? And that's tough to do. But he's always sincere. He's always genuine. And he's very, very good at what he does, and that is listening, learning, and then speaking concisely and clearly. I think he will be a very, very effective senator for Utah. I think just his – and he's already done that as a congressman, right? I think he has really got a lot of support, and we saw that in the election results. And then as his colleagues get to know him in the Senate, I think his political stock, if you want to use that term, is going to continue to rise. I think he has a very bright future in the Senate, and that means a ton for Utah. It depends on what committees he's on and all that as to far what lanes he goes down. But I think Utah is going to be very, very proud of Senator Curtis, and I can't wait to see him get started.
I think like today he tweeted out that he met with Kash Patel, who's in the running to be the director of the FBI when Director Wray steps down at the end of the year, and he's met with Pete Hegseth for DOD, and he's someone that understands the world. He understands intelligence. He in fact, I'm just reminded of a time when former Speaker McCarthy had to bring a delegation to California to meet with the incoming Taiwanese president. He was one of just a couple that were chosen. He speaks Chinese. He has an arrest warrant out on him for by the Chinese Communist Party, and that's pretty cool. That's kind of like that seems like a life goal, and so he understands a lot of these really sensitive, scary foreign and domestic intelligence and spy issues that are coming up. And then he also understands what it's like for a rancher to have their cattle graze on BLM land.
Yes.
He understands that. He's been a business owner. He knows
and he knows you call it Escalante and not Escalante.
Yeah, Escalante or
yeah, exactly. He's very smart that way.
He's one that he's the type of person that you want in because he represents all that's good about Utah.
All right, let's go to the next question he was asked about Romney's next steps. Let's listen to what's in store in his future.
Yes, I'll be doing nothing. I say that jokingly. I'll be working with young people, probably in some college settings. I'll be speaking from time to time. I'm not going to be going back into business, but I'm not going to be a political person. I'm not. Speaking earlier with some folks, which I said to them that as I look at people who've run and lost, like Mike Dukakis and others, and then people and Hillary Clinton, and then people who've run and won in the presidency, like George Herbert Walker Bush, they by and large step away from politics, and become involved in something of significance, Habitat for Humanity by Jimmy Carter, clearly global warming by Al Gore, George Bush, our veterans. So I'm more likely to pursue something of that nature. But I don't plan on being out there campaigning against this Republican or that Republican or this Democrat and trying to get the microphone again. My time on that political stage is over. Started here, ends here.
I've always said the sign of a good leader is to know when you're no longer needed, right, and when it's time to walk away. And I think he's showing that in obviously he jokes about doing nothing. Obviously he'll be doing something, but taking some time away from politics, and it sounds like maybe teach at a college. That'll be a fun class to take.
I'm trying to picture his Rolodex is so small. so large, and his world is so small that he could, if you're taking a lecture class from him at Stanford or at the University of Utah or wherever he decides to go, to have him be able to bring in Benjamin Netanyahu or a leader from another country or the CEO of Microsoft, and to be able to just have those conversations would be just a phenomenal learning experience.
Oh, it's going to be fun to watch. All right, we're going to finish up our recap of Senator Romney's farewell words today, discussing what he hopes for the future of Utah and the country. That's up next.
If you've been listening to me for a while, then you know how excited I've been to have let go of 70 pounds of fat weight in just 5 months, thanks to help from my friends at SOTA Weight Loss. It was simple, straightforward, no injections, no drugs, and no crazy exercises. SOTA clients like me lose our weight naturally, and we keep it off because they equip us with the tools we need to live a healthy, happy life. And get this is an amazing deal right now this month. Get 2 transformations for the price of 1 with SOTA's buy one, get one during the month of December. Lose weight together. It's the best way to do it. Make it a team effort. Start your 2025 off right with a partner. Double the results, half the cost. They've never made this offer before, and you only have a limited time to take advantage of it. It's so much easier when you're not alone. So go to SOTAweightloss.com to get started now. That's SOTAweightloss.com, because SOTA Weight Loss is, say it with me, state of the art.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 13 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, or other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from the station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com.
For eligible individuals 18 and older with self-perceived mild to moderate hearing loss only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
Life without hearing aids can be frustrating.
Andy, did you hear what she just said?
No, I'm sorry. What did I miss?
I said I got the promotion, Dad. I thought you would be excited.
You're missing out on the important moments of your life because you just can't hear them. It's time to try the Jabra Enhanced Select 500, our smallest, most advanced hearing aid. With proprietary speech clarity technology, even the most complex listening situations like a noisy restaurant are crisp and clear. And you can get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional care you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. Get Jabra Enhance over-the-counter hearing aids and stop missing the important moments. Save $300 on Enhanced Select 500 hearing aids automatically at checkout. Just go to JabraEnhance.com/radio. That's JABRA Enhance.com/radio. JabraEnhance.com/radio.
The holidays are a time for reflection on what matters most and the relationships that make life meaningful. At Trajan Wealth, we're proud to be a trusted partner for many of you on your financial journey. Whether you're planning for tomorrow or looking to build a legacy, we believe in doing what's right every time. As a veteran-owned company, I know trust isn't given. It's earned through honesty, integrity, and a commitment to putting our clients' needs first. For those of you that have heard my commercials for years but haven't yet called, know that most of our clients come to us from other financial advisors. You know you deserve more from your financial advisor. Our team, who have the hearts of teachers, are standing by for that second opinion. I promise we won't waste your time. This is more than our duty, it's our passion. So this holiday season, let us help you unwrap the gift of Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Donate your car to Charity Hotline. This is Roger.
Hi, Roger, I'd like to donate my car.
Yeah, good. Leave the keys in it, park it on the street, and we'll send a thug. Tow.
Where's your office?
In New Jersey. Where do you want it to be?
Well, Roger,
yeah.
I want to make sure my donation helps Utah kidney patients.
It will.
Which ones?
Well, does it matter?
Yes, I want the money to stay in Utah.
And boy, have you got the wrong number.
If you want your car donation to help people here in Utah, turn your car into a kidney car.
for the National Kidney Foundation of Utah and Idaho. Hi, this is Luz Lewis Perez. Kidney Cars is the Beehive State's #1 choice for charity car donation since 1990. When you donate your car to Kidney Cars, funding stays in Utah to help local Utah kidney patients and funds local medical research. Kidney Cars gets donors the highest tax deduction, along with free towing. Visit towcars.org and learn more. That's Tow Cars with a K like kidney. That's TOWKARS.org.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, an officer whose canine partner died in a hot car will not face charges in that case. Second, obesity rates starting to go down around the country thanks in part to weight loss drugs like Ozempic. And third, Russia launched hundreds of drones at Ukraine overnight. Ukraine's president says they shot most of them down. 39 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. I'm Adam Gardner here with Rusty Cannon. Even though he's only been Utah's senator for 6 years, Mitt Romney has made himself quite the name here in the Beehive State. And you can decide what names those are. He finished his remarks today talking about impacting folks and the legacy he hopes to leave behind. Just to kind of recap a little bit here, I just a point of personal privilege here, Rusty.
Please take it, granted.
I had the opportunity to work for Mitt Romney for 3 years, and I've never been from the Romney world. I came kind of out of nowhere, and he just trusts implicitly the people that he hires to do the job. I have had folks that have come over from other Senate offices in D.C. to work for Mitt Romney have told stories where they were not allowed to address their boss. They were not to say hello or hi to them.
Are you
to
serious?
make eye contact with the senators. Yes, senators are very high and mighty people.
Oh, boy.
And in Utah, I think sometimes he gets that reputation because his dad was wealthy, and he became wealthy and was a very successful businessman. And so he kind of just gets that reputation. And I have never found anything even close to that in my time with Senator Romney. And so he definitely has a legacy that I'll remember. And when I mentioned those staffers that came over and weren't allowed to look their boss in the eye or say hello to them or anything, they would get yelled at by the boss or the chief of staff.
I can't imagine working.
Unbelievably
like
crazy. Yeah. And I remember one of these staffers was just following that same instruction when they came to work for Mitt Romney. They wouldn't make eye contact with him. They wouldn't talk to him. And so after 2 days of this, Senator Romney walks up and goes, "I don't think we have met or talked.
Really?
You don't talk very much." And she's like, "I want to talk and I want to say stuff, but I didn't know how what the protocol is." And he goes, "There's no protocol. We can just have a conversation." And that was every experience I've ever had with him. Every time we would travel far away, we'd go to Price or we'd go to Castledale or we'd travel the state, and he would drive in his pickup truck and we would be kind of along for the ride. And every conversation we had, he was able to fill the time, and we were able to ask him, "Hey, tell us about this with the Olympics and how did this work? Tell us about this business that you invested in." And he loved to just tell stories and kind of teach along the way. I don't think he was meaning to teach us something, but he always was, because his political acumen was so amazing. And so he definitely will have a legacy in this country. One-term senators do not have legacies. Yeah. You forget their names pretty quickly unless there's one of the Senate buildings is named after you.
True.
And that is not going to be the case with Mitt Romney. So he was asked about that, and we're going to see his answer about what his legacy is.
One of the things that struck me through my career is the impact of an individual. That one person standing out can have enormous impact. That people tend to follow, whether it's Gandhi or Martin Luther King, it's amazing that one person that stands up, one person of character and courage that stands up and speaks can have enormous influence. So I hope to encourage people to stand up and speak. And sometimes the consequence for them is not cheerful initially. Think about Nelson Mandela in South Africa, but extraordinary. So my confidence in the future of our country flows from those experiences. I also think that our state has a lot to offer the country. Our state believes in balancing our budget, that's sort of a political thing, but also we kind of believe in people getting married and having families. We believe that your most important occupation is as a parent. These are things I think the nation needs and is questioning in ways that would be, I think, unfortunate for the country.
That was really neat. I enjoyed hearing him talk about the one person effect. And I think about, the phrase that you often hear, well, why not me? Or why not us? Why should it not be me that stands up and speaks out? And I think so many people have the courage to do that. And I think he's encouraging those to do that more of don't be afraid to stand up and speak out. And he talked about sometimes the consequences in the short term are a little rough for doing that. But those that really affect the future, change history, and are part of history are those that had the confidence to stand up and speak out. And then I thought it was neat how he talked about his confidence in the future is there because of examples of individuals, and he mentioned a few there, some of the great ones, but also what Utah has. And I firmly believe it. I agree with him. Utah has so many good values that we could help the rest of the country by implementing. He talked about balanced budget and all that, but I also liked how he wasn't afraid to talk about two very important issues, marriage and family, and how that's almost a taboo subject in some places, and how that's actually something the country should be re-embracing. And I just thought it was refreshing to hear his perspective on really core issues that will make or break this country.
I think he learned a lot from his dad, George Romney. I recently read a biography of his dad, and he quickly became one of my favorite politicians. George Romney was the governor of Michigan. His mom was the Republican nominee for Senate, Lenore Romney.
Oh, I didn't know that about his mom.
Yeah. And so I bought one of her Senate pins. I have them in my collection here. But George Romney stood alone multiple times. He was running for president. He was in the lead. He had run or chaired the Constitutional Convention for Michigan to rewrite their state constitution. Was a successful car CEO. And when he was running for president, he actually, he was endorsing and going, through the process of supporting the eventual winner. Or this time he wasn't running for president, but the nominee was Barry Goldwater. And he was chairing or working in the convention and Republican National Convention. And he wanted a plank in the party's platform to embrace civil rights. It was a big issue in Michigan, a big issue in the South, a big issue all over the country. And this was in 1964, so the heat of the civil rights discussions. And the party wouldn't adopt it, and Goldwater would not allow it to come to a vote. They squashed it pretty hard because they didn't want to tick off the South. And George Romney gave an impassioned speech about how they're not catching the vision of equal and civil rights, and he was kind of tarnished from his party for a lot of years, and he walked out of the convention.
Really? So
alone.
this is 1964?
This is in 1964.
Wow.
And then in the 70s, when he was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Richard Nixon, he had this idea to build not these huge housing projects like we see in Chicago, but rather smaller projects inside of cities, inside of neighborhoods. And Nixon hated it so bad, Romney wouldn't back down, and he was actually asked to leave the administration. So he's had to stand alone many times, and I think that Mitt Romney's kind of following that same example.
Yeah, I think as he thinks about his legacy and what he'll leave behind, I mean, the history books will write that eventually. And as time goes along, sometimes that morphs a little bit. But there'll be so many good things about his legacy that he leaves behind of sticking to his principles, number one. Obviously, that's been the big one, no matter the consequences. and being effective in significant legislation. And don't forget, he ran for president twice. And
he's been vetted.
Yeah, he has been vetted. He has been thoroughly vetted. And it went through, I'd say, the ringer a couple of times and persevered. And, gave a great effort and came quite close. But I think he has a lot to be proud of and a lot that he can look back on with fondness and, should feel good about the way he's walking away.
Coming up on the second hour of Inside Sources, we're going to move to the national stage and talk about the upcoming inauguration. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Senator Mitt Romney was back home in Utah today and had what's expected to be his final press conference with local media before his term ends. Senator Romney was asked what he plans to do after he leaves office.
I'll be working with young people, probably in some college settings. I'll be speaking from time to time. I'm not going to be going back into business, but I'm not going to be a political person.
Romney says he's not going to campaign for or against candidates. He said his political service started in Utah, and this is where it will end. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The latest place where mysterious drones are being reported is southern Oregon. But the Department of Homeland Security says not to worry. Luis Martinez is ABC's top Pentagon correspondent.
This all sounds eerily familiar to what happened in 1947 with the flying saucer scares all across America, when people thought that they were seeing flying saucers in the sky and reported the same kind of objects, those metallic, shiny, silvery objects with the dome on top that all of a sudden had become part of the discourse at that time. And as we now know, many of those reports were uncorroborated.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is down 86 points on the day. The NASDAQ, though, up 23 points. And our KSL weather, the snow is going to come back this weekend. That's next. KSL News Time 2:01.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Do you ever feel like getting your supplies for your CPAP is just a huge headache? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. We'll say goodbye to the hassle and hello to a stress-free life with our CPAP resupply service. Signing up is a breeze. Just place a call, choose your products, and leave the insurance billing and shipping to us. Our discreet packaging prioritizes your privacy, and we always ensure an on-time delivery. No more trips to the store or worrying about running out of important supplies. We get how crucial your CPAP therapy is, so don't let the stress of keeping up with it affect your sleep and health. Join Alpine Resupply today and enjoy a tranquil night's sleep with all your CPAP essentials. Visit us at alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you could tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
This holiday season, give the gift of joy with Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates. Imagine the delight on your loved ones' faces as they unwrap a box of their handcrafted gourmet chocolates. From creamy caramels to chocolate-covered treats, each piece is made with love and the finest ingredients. Family-owned for over 60 years, Mrs. Kavanaugh's offers a tradition of quality and care. Whether it's their famous chocolate-covered nuts or their decadent fudge, Mrs. Kavanaugh's has something to make every holiday moment sweeter. Find the perfect gifts this year for your family, friends, and employees at mrskavanaughs.com or visit their retail store to explore their holiday specials and delicious corporate gifts. Order now and make the season unforgettable with the magic of Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates, where every bite is a memory. Share the sweetness.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin.
Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
We did have some heavy and slow traffic on southbound I-15 between about 3900 south into Midvale and Sandy. It's now shifted. It's heavy and slow at the south interchange to 72nd, and then again going through Draper. But overall, kind of a quiet drive in progress. Had a KSL traffic trooper give us a heads up about a crash westbound I-80 at State Street. At one time, it had been blocking. It's now been moved over to the shoulder. This is the place, Heritage Park, your official Christmas place. It's Candlelight Christmas, December 10th through the 23rd, featuring street fires, gifts, historic pioneer homes, down candy cane lanes. Visit thisistheplace.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're looking at clouds with a chance of rain tomorrow, a high around 48. Then Sunday, high of only 40 and a good chance of snow. And right now, we're at 41 degrees. It's partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside Sources. I'm your co-host, Rusty Cannon, here with Adam Gardner today. Our second hour, we're going to start talking about inauguration. It is coming up. Adam, we saw as we were in D.C. this week, a lot of scaffolding going up for the inauguration, right? We saw it around the White House, around the Capitol. It takes a lot of time to get ready for inauguration, and it looked like they were getting a head start on it in building all the infrastructure. Maybe some folks listening will be going back. I think it'll be quite the event as he comes back into office. There's been some back and forth, as we always hear, about the inauguration, who attends, who doesn't attend, and now there are some Democrats saying they will not attend the inauguration out of protest. We can note that President Trump did not attend the inauguration for President Biden
right.
the last time around. So I'm not saying this is par for the course, but now it sounds like there are some that are saying that they will find something else to do that day.
Look, if we keep doing this on both sides, this tit-for-tat stuff, it's just got to stop.
Yeah.
I think all it's doing is eroding faith and trust in our institutions. And I'm not saying that our institutions are not to blame here. Mm-hmm. You have both parties have really done a number on eroding public trust. But we shouldn't be continuing in that same vein. We need to come together at least for a flippin' day.
Yeah.
Can we not spend one day celebrating the peaceful transfer of power and a new president coming into office and listening to what they have to say? I mean, regardless of where you live, 30 to 90% in every single House district voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So you have, and the same with Biden 4 years ago. Just go and attend and support the new guy. And I would expect, I don't know if Biden's going to be there. I would assume he is. He's already invited Trump to the White House.
Yeah,
which I think is a great move. It's showing I know you didn't do this for me, but I'm going to do it for you.
Yeah, and you made a great point. I remember, what was that, a few weeks ago? How long ago when Trump visited the White House? They were in front of the roaring fireplace, and They brought the press in for a little bit, and they met for, an hour and a half, almost 2 hours to talk. And just how neat that was to see. And I give President Biden a lot of credit for doing it because it's what the country needs. It's healing. It's moving on, no matter how bruising. They have obviously called each other all kinds of names for a long time. And then to sit down in the same room and be like, okay, you won. Congratulations. Let's talk about some transition. But boy, wouldn't we have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that room.
I think so too. There was also some an invitation that sparked some concern and some controversy after it was released in the news last week that President Trump invited Chinese President Xi Jinping, which is not usual. It is usual for ambassadors to come to the inauguration. They have tickets and they show up.
Yeah, I would assume so.
So the Chinese ambassador is still planning on attending. But it was really interesting that he invited President Xi, and that could have been a big controversy if he would have said yes, I'll be there. That would have changed this inauguration into something much, much different. I, for one, am grateful he said no, so we don't have to kind of deal with that. I also think these things are so tightly planned. I mean, you're taking the oath of office at noon. On January 20th, while you're at the White House, all of Biden's stuff will be moved completely out in just 4 or 5 hours. The entire house will be cleaned out, and then all of President Trump's stuff will come in. And then when staff shows up in the White House that afternoon to begin work, all of the portraits are going to be changed out. Everything is going to be how President Trump wants it. And so it is really scheduled. And so for a leader of a foreign nation, especially one as big or important as China, to come into the nation's capital, you really don't get a lot of mileage out of being there except for just being a witness to the event.
Yeah, you'd be a fifth wheel.
Yeah, it's like symbolically cool. But what we're seeing here is a lot of the Democrats that are choosing not to attend, some are protesting it, and that's not surprising. We're going to see that on the far left and the far right. They're going to protest each other all the time. That's what they live for. And what's interesting to me is some of them have been saying, like, we can't attend because of MLK celebrations.
Yeah, so this will happen on Martin Luther King Day, correct?
It's on the same day?
Yeah, which doesn't happen often, but it does. There's a reason it overlaps, right? Is because
that's
I always get them mixed up. Which one is on the third Monday?
That's Martin Luther King Day.
Okay,
that one is always on a Monday.
Yep.
But January 20th is Inauguration Day. It used to be in March.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful they moved that up to January. It's kind of stupid waiting around for 4 or 5 months to take office. And I know, and I have some contacts that are at Mar-a-Lago nonstop. They're planning the new administration. They're planning the transition. They're going to be ready to go on day one. We're going to see a ton of executive orders, either reversed or signed on day one. If we remember correctly, President Trump signed more executive orders by far than any other president when he was sworn in on January 20th, 2017. And that was exceeded 4 years later by Joe Biden.
Yeah, and he'll probably set a new record.
And I think he's going to set a new record. And so hopefully, I'm not a fan of executive orders. So hopefully this doesn't become a thing where we're just legislating by executive fiat here, but we actually have some input from Congress on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But they're going to be ready to go on day one.
Yeah, and that's I think it'd be nice if over the next 4 years there is some legislative momentum to enshrine or make more permanent some of the things that are done by executive order. But I think, unfortunately, we're just in that world where with such thin majorities in the House and in the Senate, and especially not getting 60 in the Senate, there's not a whole lot you can do in a major way. Now, there are some issues hopefully we get bipartisan consensus on, and I don't mean to sound so pessimistic, but I think it's a long shot. But, yes, you're right. They will be very, very – you talked about moving furniture. They're going to need a lot of – I'm sounding old when I say this, some pen and paper.
Yeah.
And typewriters and faxes to get stuff done. But you know what I mean. Of just all kinds of things to get those executive orders done. I think it was a recent interview that President Trump did last weekend where he's saying, no, this is there are some things that are, hour one priorities, not day one priorities, much less the first 100 days. So they'll be very, very busy. And there's some some Democrats have said that they want to attend some of these Martin Luther King Jr. events as well on Sunday, and they'd rather prioritize that. But, like you mentioned, it would be nice if everybody would just either side in the future saying, listen, who won, let's go and celebrate, congratulate. It's hard for either side to watch it happen, but eventually the pendulum swings and you'll have your day in the sun.
I think you're going to have some folks where if you are a Democrat that won in a swing district, you're going to have a really tough time because half of your district is going to hate you for whatever decision you make. If you decide to go and show good faith, then you're going to have a lot of Democrats that are going to hate you for it. And then if you decide to skip it, then those Republicans are going to hate you for it. And I think a lot of these guys are just trying to figure out what their constituents are going to hate the least.
That's right. Political calculation there. It'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great event and fun for a chance for the country to come together, hopefully. All right. Next on Inside Sources, we're going to dig into some of the ways President Trump has been appealing to working-class voters and how that's shaping the future of the Republican Party. We'll be right back.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
A house explosion this afternoon.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
Donate your car to Charity Hotline. This is Roger.
Hi, Roger, I'd like to donate my car.
Yeah, good. Leave the keys in it, park it on the street, and we'll send a thug. Total.
Where's your office?
In New Jersey. Where do you want it to be?
Well, Roger, I want to make sure my donation helps Utah kidney patients.
It will.
Which ones?
Well, does it matter?
Yes, I want the money to stay in Utah.
And boy, have you got the wrong number.
If you want your car donation to help people here in Utah, turn your car into a kidney car for the National Kidney Foundation of Utah and Idaho. Hi, this is Lewis Perez. Kidney Cars is the Beehive State's #1 choice for charity car donation since 1990. When you donate your car to Kidney Cars, funding stays in Utah to help local Utah kidney patients and funds local medical research. Kidney Cars gets donors the highest tax deduction, along with free towing. Visit towcars.org and learn more. That's Tow Cars with a K like kidney. That's TOWKARS.org.
New deals on last-minute holiday finds just dropped at Lowe's. Save $600 on a Whirlpool fingerprint-resistant stainless steel side-by-side refrigerator. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members save $50 on an Allen & Roth Brighton pull-down kitchen faucet. Your choice of finishes for $79. Lowe's knows deals. Offers valid 12/12 through 12/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Les Olson IT is your source for top-quality technology. We carry the latest desktop and laptop PCs in stock, configured to your specific needs, and backed by our award-winning support team. And if your business demands high-performance hardware, we offer custom-built computers that can tackle any task. We also offer great computer accessories like monitors, keyboards, speakers, Fujitsu document scanners, and more. Get a quote today.
Les Olson IT.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Deck the windows with the most stunning window coverings in town. The most wonderful time is almost here, so let's turn your house into a holiday wonderland. Don't settle for boring windows. The Blind Man Custom Window Treatments will add a touch of holiday magic to every room. Imagine soft, shimmering shades filtering the festive lights, or elegant shutters framing your holiday decor. The Blind Man window treatments can create an inviting atmosphere that will complement your style and help everyone get into the holiday spirit. Experience the magic of the holidays in comfort and style with the Blind Man's custom window coverings. Visit theblindman.com today to set up a free in-home consultation. Theblindman.com. The Blind Man.
From Ogden to St. George, Utah's premier window covering provider, The Blind Man.
Give the perfect gift to your family this winter. Come and play in Bear Lake. Reserve your winter getaway now and relax during or after the holidays. Visit bearlake.org.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, whatever Mitt Romney does when his term ends in the U.S. Senate, says he won't be running for office again. Second, was almost 80 years ago that Americans across the country reported seeing flying saucers, and now it's mysterious drones. Third, construction will soon be holding up traffic along 700 North in Salt Lake City. 41 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
President-elect Trump is showing his support for dock workers' unions, and it could be a signal of what's to come as the new administration works to maintain support for America's working class. You know, I'm here with Rusty Cannon, my co-host. I'm Adam Gardner. We're talking about the working class.
Correct.
And we've heard that term so much during this campaign. Every side, both sides are kind of going after the working class vote. Mm-hmm. And that has really shifted a lot from the Democratic Party, being a Democratic stronghold. It's shifting over to the Republican side.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump has tried really hard to get that union working class vote. And as we were kind of going over this segment, my question kind of still remains, what is the working class?
I was going to ask you the exact same thing.
What does it mean?
I was starting to think about it. I always took it to mean a definition of income, right? I always thought, just being a numbers person.
But not middle class?
Well, but it's kind of, I guess, the same type of thing. I thought working class meant, well, sort of in a bracket of income. But I guess it could also mean the type of work. Would it be the type of work that you do? Working class. There's, jobs that are, more industrial or more. I don't know. It's hard. It's kind of a strange definition.
Okay, I just looked up on Grok, which is the AI platform, kind of a Chat GPT type for X.
Okay.
Elon needs to be better at naming things. Okay. That's all I'll say. Yeah. Okay, so it says the term working class typically refers to people who are employed in jobs that involve manual labor, industrial work, or service roles, which generally require less formal education and offer lower to moderate wages. Here are some key points, and then it goes off on what type.
That's a pretty good definition.
Education, cultural aspects, but I'm thinking, like, even if you're an electrician, you don't need to get a degree in it, but you need formal training. You need apprenticeships. Like, these are just because you're working class doesn't mean you're uneducated. These are extremely hard professions, and so we're talking about like which side is kind of claiming the working class vote.
Yeah. So what prompted this segment when we were planning the show? An article in the Washington Post by Mark Thiessen, and he had some interesting points about how President Trump could deliver to the working class, and we'll get into this. I just wanted to read a couple snippets from the article, and you're aware of this, Adam, in the work that you do, as the upcoming reconciliation bills. So for those that aren't familiar, you can do certain things related to the budget and a lot of other things on 51 votes in the Senate due to what is budget reconciliation.
So it bypasses the filibuster,
exactly.
But only for budget-related issues.
Exactly. So you have to fit it into that box. And so they will now be running out very quickly either 1 or 2 reconciliation bills. The first one might be, as they call, skinny, where it'll just be the border wall, and border issues and a lot of things around border and possibly energy for some sort of a quick win. And it might
but not for policy, only for budget.
Yeah, correct. Only for budget, as far as funding and those kinds of things. And they could really get that moving pretty quickly. Then they can go into a second reconciliation bill, would be the idea that would be more around taxes, because these tax cuts from 2017 don't expire until the end of 25. So you have 25 to get that done. Then the other interesting point he makes is then you can have a third bite at the apple, because you then next year in 2026, before the midterms, have another bite at the apple on another budget reconciliation for the upcoming fiscal year 2027 at that point, where you could go into, maybe implementing some of these DOGE efforts from Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and their group and what the recommendations they make. It might be significant, and that might be something that comes to fruition, roughly a year from now. So 3 different bites at the apple to really deliver, as he puts it, for working class. Now, some of those tax cuts could be tailored towards working class that they talked about, whether it was the no tax on tips or Social Security and those kinds of things. But to his point, I think he talked about delivering those wins early, quickly, and substantially.
I think it's important to just the history of this here. In 2009, the Democrats used reconciliation to pass Obamacare. No Republicans voted for that bill in either the House or the Senate. None. And so that passed. It was deeply unpopular in conservative circles in red states. And then as kind of a payback, the Democrats were not going to support the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act with Donald Trump. And so the Republicans used reconciliation on that and to get that through. And then the Democrats used it at the beginning of during the Biden administration on the infrastructure the Inflation Reduction Act, which did not reduce inflation.
Had nothing to do with inflation.
And they used it on that too. And that was super controversial because everyone wanted to raise the minimum wage. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And so they had to find out what the parliamentarian would decide would fit in or out of the budget. And if they ruled the wrong way, they could get fired and Chuck Schumer could hire another one. Yeah. And that is when Kyrsten Sinema voted no on that. And so anyway, there's a lot of not kind of infighting, but I think that both sides got to be very careful on how the Republicans have got to be very careful on how they use reconciliation, because for Obama, I believe it cost him the midterms completely. And so if the Republicans botch this, it could cost them the midterms as well. So they have to do as much governing as they can in a year and a half before the midterms start.
So let's talk about another issue that's come up in recent days having to do with the working class, and that is dock workers. So we remember recently there was a strike. I'm forgetting when it was. Yeah, it was in October, wasn't it? Right before the election, where dock workers on the East Coast were striking and asking for wage concessions. And recently President-elect Trump had expressed support for the International Longshoremen's Association in their opposition to increased automation at Eastern and Gulf Coast ports, arguing that it's going to harm workers and families. I 100% disagree with him on this one. Anyway, what do you think?
So let's listen. Let's look at his statement. I just finished a meeting with the Longshoremen's Association and its president. I've studied automation and know just about everything there is to know about it, which means he doesn't know a lot about it. The amount of money saved is nowhere near the stress, hurt, and harm it causes for American workers, and in our case, the longshoremen. That is his reasoning for not investing in automation. And I just think it is insane that we didn't kill the automobile industry in favor of horse and buggy.
Yeah.
And and the hand carts.
That's right. What about those buggy whip makers?
That's the heartache.
Need to keep their job.
And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be this anti-MAGA guy, and I support a lot of Trump's economic policies, but my gosh, what a terrible idea just because you think they'll deliver working class. I don't think they can deliver the working class. I think they can deliver the longshoremen, and that is it.
Exactly. How many longshoremen would get a better job under automation to where, okay, you won't
not a lot. I'm going to be honest with you, not a lot. They make $200,000 a year.
Point. Yeah, good point. They make
because they have a stranglehold over these ports.
Yeah. Well, and think about them managing computer systems to run those boxes around the port, None of them are falling on your foot or your entire body. You're safer. You're probably making more money. However, there would be a reduced workforce, of course. But as your point, would we still be driving horse and buggy because we didn't want to upset the industry and bring along the car? It's the same argument. Virtually all other ports around the world operate far more efficiently, far better at a lower cost. And there are, I think, even other ports within the United States that are implementing some automation. It's just this is specifically the association out there on the east and the Gulf Coast. I can't say that. Gulf Coast ports. That's a tongue twister. But it drives me nuts to where this is just something that he jumped in on. It doesn't make any sense to me, just at all, logically.
And it's hard because I don't think that his base. This does not resonate with his base.
No.
His base wants to upend the system, wants to change, wants to be different, and what we're seeing here is more of the same. And it is special interests that are controlling the government, and that is not what the MAGA movement, in my opinion, is about. But on the other side of that coin, the MAGA movement is whatever Donald Trump says. Remember to stay up to date on the latest news with KSL's 3 Things newsletter. Each day you'll get an email with the top 3 things you need to know as you go about your day. It's super easy to get started. Just text inbox to 57500. And next on Inside Sources, we'll dig into a new letter from Governor Cox and 3 other Western U.S. governors outlining priorities they'd like to see in the next Trump administration. That's coming up after the break.
It's 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, a busy road in Salt Lake City will get a makeover. Drivers can expect some major traffic impacts. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The stretch of 600 and 700 North between 800 West and Redwood Road will be under construction starting in the new year. The city is planning to improve safety for everyone on the road by adding bike paths, bike crossings, extended sidewalks, and medians. The construction will be at the same time as the bridge replacement over the Jordan River near 650 North as the road switches from 600 to 700 North.
The city says about 24,000 cars drive that stretch of road every day. People living on Bountiful's East Bench were getting frustrated by a series of random power outages. Turns out these were caused by squirrels getting into the high voltage lines on a couple of power poles. The city power agency says it's tried a slick solution to keep the squirrels from climbing the poles and even fitting guards over the power boxes. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Ukraine's president says Russia fired as many as 300 drones at his country overnight. He also says most of them were shot down. They were targeting electric power systems. The White House has announced $500 million in additional military aid for Ukraine just this week. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average is down now, closing trading at 86 points down, and the NASDAQ was up 23 on the day. And our KSL weather, we've got sunshine this afternoon. Tomorrow, we'll see clouds and more rain. That's next. KSL News Time, 2:32.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Tech scams, identity thieves, data leaks. Hearing about these online threats every day can be stressful. But don't worry. McAfee Total Protection is here to help you live a worry-free life online. What does worry-free mean? Well, it means you won't have to wonder if that text message is a scam, if new threats will pop up on your PC, or if you're safe from identity theft. Visit McAfee.com/online protection today to get award-winning online protection for just $39.99 your first year. That's McAfee.com/online protection. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Old Spice Swagger Holiday Pack, perfect for a gift to treat yourself.
24/7 holiday freshness with daily use can smell your bestest. I'm gonna be smelling great all season. Old Spice scents just can't be beaten. Chock full of value, saving that green. Got the essentials needed to feel clean. Deodorant, hair, body wash, and spray. Celebrate your holiday the Old Spice way. Ho, 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 ho.
Often, we see people we don't know, sleeping on the sidewalk or maybe asking for money. You may think to yourself, wonder how this person ended up in that situation. The rescue mission of Salt Lake changes people's lives and helps them become the person they were truly meant to be. They just need a little help to get back on track. The rescue mission relies 100% on public support and receives no government funding. Those small donations can add up to transform someone's life. In as little as 12 months, a person can move from homelessness to stability, gain an education and life skills mentoring, to employment, housing, and self-sufficiency. Additionally, the rescue mission provides daily meals and offers an emergency shelter every night, plus hygiene, clothing, and a warming center, all to help those on the street get off the street and change their life. Visit Rescue Mission of Salt Lake now. That's rescuesaltlake.org, because a little donation goes a long way.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And here's Ricky Meese.
Well, crews are still working to clear this crash westbound I-80 near State Street. Everybody is out of traffic over to the shoulders, so it's not causing any delay. But we do have heavy and slow traffic southbound I-15 already going from 53rd to 7200 south. Celebrate the 80th anniversary of America's first Nutcracker at Ballet West with music performed live by the Ballet West Orchestra. Reserve your seats for this holiday tradition at balletwest.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, we have partly cloudy skies right now. That turns to mostly cloudy tomorrow with a good chance of rain, a high of 48. The next day on Sunday, 40 degrees with a good chance of snow. Again, 43 right now with partly cloudy skies in Salt Lake. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm your co-host, Rusty Cannon, here with Adam Gardner. Adam, next we're going to talk about a letter that was penned by our governor, Governor Spencer Cox, with three other Western governors, Governor Brad Little of Idaho, Governor Gianforte of Montana, and Governor Gordon of Wyoming. They addressed a letter to incoming President Trump on energy and a few other ideas or topics that they thought we could have a lot of good momentum on. So we want to talk about that letter and what might come of it. Joining us on this segment is Emmy Lasofsky. She's energy advisor to the governor and director of the Office of Energy Development. Emmy, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you to both of you for having me on today. I'm happy to be here to talk about the important opportunities we have coming up to improve our situation.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk in recent years about the energy situation. I know our state elected officials are really fretting about this. It's an important issue. What is the letter talking about? What are some of the good things that we can move towards?
I think the most important thing is that we have an opportunity to really work together with our neighboring states and with those who have really good relationships with those governors and the new administration to roll back the policies that the Biden administration has put in place that have created roadblocks to homegrown energy and mineral development. I think that there's a lot of good things that were started during the first Trump administration that we can return to, and I think that we can build upon all of the good things that have happened over the last 8 years. Some of, not everything that happened during the Biden administration was bad, but there were a lot of things that really frustrated development. And ultimately, when you increase the cost to do business, especially in the energy sector, you're going to end up with higher prices, which is effectively a tax on consumers. And Utah has a consumer-based and a consumer-focused energy policy, and we're really looking to collaboration with the new administration and with our other fellow public land states to make sure that we can keep prices low for energy for our consumers in Utah and in the West.
Okay, Emmy. So, what are some of those roadblocks that existed in the Biden administration, and what were some of those things that the administration did that made energy production and energy itself more expensive?
I would say that we have the best environmental laws in the world. And the problem that we've had with them in recent years is they've been, instead of being used to make sure that we're making good decisions and protecting the environment while we do responsible development, they've effectively been weaponized. They've been weaponized by agencies and through the judicial system. And that's something where I think the new administration can really step back and take a look at how these laws are operating and what they're doing, because we can't have, transmission is a big issue, for example. And if you can't get past, Endangered Species Act or National Environmental Policy Act that is being misapplied, then you're going to end up with projects that are delayed and delayed and delayed. And you delay a project to get more energy online, that's just going to make the project more expensive, which means that when the project comes online, it's going to hit consumers in the pocket. And so those are the kind of things I think that we can do, working with the new administration, to reject the false choices between having a healthy, clean environment and having sustainable development on our public lands.
So, Emmy, what would it look like as these dominoes fall? Would this be something that happens in a few months, or will it take a few years? And is it up to just the people that are installed at the top of these agencies to make these changes, or does this have to filter through the whole system? And I guess in my roundabout question, I'm just wondering, how likely is it we can get good substantive stuff done in a reasonable amount of time?
I think when you look at the landscape of things that have happened over the last 4 years, if a president puts something in as an executive fiat, a lot of times we see those things can be undone. Not all the way, all the time, but can we make measurable good progress to have a sustainable, healthy environment and to be able to do development? Yeah, we can. And to your point, it's not just about who's the president or who is the Secretary of the Interior or the head of the EPA. I mean, certainly we feel really fortunate that Governor Burgum's going to be at Interior because he understands what it's like to be frustrated by the overreach of the federal government, and he understands energy and environmental issues. And so that's great. And he'll do a lot of great things, we think, as the head of the Energy Council and at Interior. But it does take collaboration with Congress. It does take working with states to understand sort of where the levers can be pulled to improve things. And so it's certainly not something that's a slam dunk that we're going to see, day 25 of a new administration, the entire world changes. But we definitely have the ability to make some new sustained progress that will actually help unleash our energy development and get some more sound management of our public lands that will benefit Utahns and other users of public lands.
One of the issues that's been really tough for me, I used to work for Congressman Rob Bishop, and so he was the chair of the Public Lands Committee. And one of the things that we were always so frustrated with, especially with the Clinton administration coming in and making the staircase monument, and then, of course, the Obama administration making the Bears Ears monument, and then actually posting a picture of arches on his Twitter announcement about it, which drove me insane. And so the Antiquities Act is, I think, done more harm to lock up millions of acres in the West. Is there any plan in the Trump administration, in the Burgum Interior Department, or any suggestions that are being made by Spencer Cox and the three other governors to kind of reform or abolish the Antiquities Act?
I think, the reform of the Antiquities Act has been something that Western members of Congress and Western governors have been talking about for a long time. I worked in Congress for a long time for Western members, and the Antiquities Act is another thing that has been weaponized to be able to create policies in places where they can't get the people who live there and who are most impacted to support. And so I think that it's definitely going to be on the table to talk about what the Antiquities Act is meant to do and how we can right-size the thinking about it and do things in the right way to protect areas that are worthy of protection, but not use it as a way to enact essentially policies that you could not otherwise get through Congress. And it's a total abuse in the way it's been handled.
So, Emmy, one other area that the letter covered was forest management. I know that's a big topic, wildfires and mismanagement and all of that. What type of strides would our governor like to make in forest management?
I mean, the irony of what has happened over the last 4 years is that they talk a big game about wanting to prevent wildfires and protect communities, but if you can't actually conduct a project that will reduce wildfire risk, then all you're doing is making it worse. And I think that we've seen in Utah that there are places where there are dead and dying trees that are, frankly, a tinderbox that we're worried all the time that are going to go up in flames. And that is not something that I think anybody's willing to accept as okay. And so as we look towards the next administration and working with the Forest Service and working through how they apply the National Environmental Policy Act, how they apply, equal access to justice, and whether or not people can make a career of suing the federal government and getting paid to frustrate development that then causes bigger problems on the back end. Those are the kind of ways I think that we'll see forest management addressed in a broader sense. And I think hopefully we'll have a much better sense from the Department of Agriculture and from the administration on what the actual priorities for forest management should be. How are we preventing catastrophic wildfires? What are the policies that we're undertaking that actually are making it worse because we're not allowing people to use their motor vehicles or maintaining roads so that we can actually get in and do those projects. So that's, I think, the approach we'll take.
Emmy Lasofsky, Energy Advisor to the Governor, thank you for joining us on Inside Sources today. We appreciate it.
Adam and Randy, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. All right, in our final segment on today's Inside Sources, we're going back to Washington, D.C. to talk about some Senate drama.
The temperatures outside have dropped a bunch, and now my family and I are enjoying the benefits of our brand new windows from Advanced Window Products in a different way. During the summer, it was nice to be able to keep the cold air in. Now it's nice to see how much more efficiently we can keep warm air inside. We replaced 20 of our builder-grade windows with high-efficiency windows and a glass door to our backyard with a built-in pet door, and we have just been thrilled with the results. We're already saving on our energy bill. We're helping pay for the windows with the rebate available through Dominion Energy. Our price didn't include any middleman markups because they did the sales and the installation all in-house. My wife and I love that there's a lifetime warranty serviced by their local team, labor, glass, parts included. I promise they're going to treat you right, and you'll have an amazing experience from start to finish, just like I did. Right now is a great time to do it. Also, they're having an end-of-season sale. Save $2,500 on 10 windows or more. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Trail mix, beef jerky, mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top-tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at sinclairoil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
Get up to a 30% upfront bonus to use for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year to help grow your retirement income. Whether you're in retirement or will be retiring within 10 years, Trajan Wealth can offer some of the highest guarantees in the business. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know no one wants to work forever. We all need to retire someday, and I know you've worked hard for your money. So now is the time to guarantee it. Take advantage of up to a 30% upfront bonus for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't woulda, shoulda, coulda. Get up to a 30% bonus just for opening an account, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Retire the right way, the Trajan way, with Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. DBA in most states says Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. what's in your wallet.
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a gnaw. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Does it matter?
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call tow cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
Hi, Susan. We haven't seen or heard from you.
Cold.
We would like to locate Joyce.
The mysteries that made podcast history
Cherie Warren disappeared.
are now together for free at kslpodcasts.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, the host of Cold. Join me for Season 1, The Susan Powell Case Files. Season 2, Justice for Joyce. And Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Listen anytime for free at kslpodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, another storm expected to bring more snow to the Wasatch Front this weekend. Second, Ukraine's president says Russia fired hundreds of drones into his country overnight. Many were shot down before they reached their targets. Third, squirrels have found a couple of favorite power poles on Bountiful's East Bench. They've been causing some random power outages. 43 degrees, partly cloudy. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Adam Gardner, co-hosting here with Rusty Cannon. Outgoing Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin aren't receiving any warm wishes from their Democratic colleagues in the Senate. If you remember, both Sinema and Manchin are Democrats in the Senate, were Democrats in the Senate, but they changed their party affiliation to independent last year. Both decided to not run for their respective seats. And you know what? I got to give them a lot of credit because they have pushed back on their party. Look, we talked about Mitt Romney for 4 straight segments on what kind of his legacy will be. And these two will have a similar legacy. They pushed back on their party during reconciliation and raising the minimum wage through reconciliation. They pushed back on their party most notably to get rid of the filibuster. Those two thought it would be bad practice to get rid of it and campaigned that it would be good. That it would be a bad practice. And when they got elected, it was really interesting to watch them hold to their guns. And during the Infrastructure and Jobs Act that came up, I got to give credit again to Mitt Romney and to 9 other Republicans, including McConnell, who kind of came together to pass the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. And the reason I want to give them credit is because they were under an immense amount of pressure to get rid of the filibuster and pass some sort of ginormous spending bill.
Yeah, that was the issue of the day.
And Biden was talking about $3.5 to $6 trillion in new spending. And so a group of 20 Republicans and Democrats got together and they decided if we do $500 billion of straight infrastructure, something that both parties want, including Donald Trump. Donald Trump wanted $3 to $5 trillion in new spending when he was president.
He did.
For this. So they said if we can do $500 billion and make it a true bill of just infrastructure, fixing bridges, broadband, potholes, if we can just narrow it down to that, then can we get you guys on board with this, and you don't have to get rid of the infrastructure? Will that help you with your colleagues and with your districts, with your states? And they both said yes, and they came together and passed that bill, and the infrastructure lived to fight another day. And so they've bucked their party, and they're going to have a mixed legacy. A lot of hardcore Democrats are really going to hate him, and a lot of hardcore Republicans are really going to like him. The problem is that doesn't translate into votes in West Virginia and Arizona.
Correct.
And I think I don't know this, but she may regret it once she saw that her opponent would have been Carrie Lake. I think she's like, dang it, I could have actually run and beat her. But there's some new outrage, Rusty, just this past week with some of their votes.
A couple days ago, wasn't it? Or just yesterday? This is very, very recent. Yeah, they went in and voted against. They were actually off the floor. They came back and then voted against the appointment of, and I'm forgetting her name, to the Labor
Lauren McFerrin.
Yeah, Lauren McFerrin, to the National Labor Relations Board. So for those that don't know, this is a big deal. The National Labor Relations Board has a lot of influence and they're very much into the weeds on labor, obviously, in the country and unions and how all that works. And correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, the president wanted to stack the deck before he left.
That's right. He was trying to get the Democrats a majority on the NLRB on the board. So many Democrats expressed frustration over their longstanding pattern of opposing key party priorities, with some labeling their actions as pathetic and a parting shot at the administration. So this puts further strained relationships in the Democratic caucus, but also this is just one vote. Yeah. You need him for the budget. You need him for a couple other things in this lame duck session. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. If you're Democrats, you still need them for some things, and if you're going to tick them off even more, you want to see a parting shot when they're going to vote down your budget priorities. You need to avoid that. So they're going to have these mixed legacies on their departures, and despite some frustration, Sinema and Manchin have played pivotal roles in advancing bipartisan legislation. They really have. Don't you think, Rusty? I mean, most Democrats, you can't name, it's really hard to name 10 to 15 Democrats in the Senate off the top of your head from these other states. But Manchin and Sinema, they're two that you remember.
Yeah, and I'll always remember both of them for them holding firm on those two key issues you brought up, the filibuster and, well, in addition to these bills, but the filibuster is just one that it is one of those things, and we talked about it on a recent show, I think, the hypocrisy of now Democrats being thankful that they didn't get rid of the filibuster, because they would be hooped now, because now the Republicans do anything they wanted. And I guess it's good that we didn't do that. It's so ridiculous, the hypocrisy. But they stood firm and they did the right thing, knowing that it's a good practice to ensure that we do big things on a bipartisan basis in holding firm. And then here, I think there's a lot of other reasons and articles today talking about this. There's one on the Hill talking about the history of particularly Manchin in the White House and the back and forth and the negotiations on all these bills you mentioned in recent years. It wasn't always smooth sailing. There were some accusations of leaks, from Manchin, that he thought the Biden administration had leaked some key things they didn't want leaked and put him in a bad spot, and sort of walked away. He wrote a pretty scathing Wall Street Journal op-ed in March of 2023 accusing the Biden administration of, betrayal because of the way that they acted on the Inflation Reduction Act. And so
he feels that they lied to him. The Biden administration came to him with some certain promises for West Virginia, priorities that were important to him, and they lied.
Yeah.
And so he was ticked and wrote this big op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. One Democratic senator said, "I think people are not sorry to see them go." And one actually, you'll know his name, Chair Bernie Sanders for the Future Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, a big union guy. He called the vote pathetic. Senator Tina Smith, a Democrat from Minnesota, called their votes disappointing. Elizabeth Warren, declared their no votes would hurt workers across the country. It's not going to hurt workers.
No.
Come on, Elizabeth. Come on, Liz. Yeah. There's a tradition of having a balance on the board, and it's important, so it's disappointing they weren't able to get that done, said Tina Smith. Well, this would stack the deck, so this wouldn't be a balance. And it looks like, you know what, we're going to have a new administration, a new senator coming in. It probably wouldn't be appropriate, but would I say that Republicans wouldn't do the very same thing and try and get their person through before the next Democratic administration? Yeah, I actually think that they probably would. So I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with trying to get your guy on the board before you leave. You want to get something done. But apparently they were able to buck their party and keep Lauren off the board.
Well, and Manchin told The Hill yesterday that there was a reason that he did this. He was telling his Democrat colleagues that he would vote this way. And he mentioned that he was concerned about McFerrin's support for the joint employer rule the agency finalized in 2023. Now, that's a rule, it was later struck down in court, that broadened the criteria for a joint employer relationship in a way that would have made companies potentially liable for hiring practices of subcontractors. It was a bad rule. It was so bad it was thrown out in court and struck down in court. And it was, in his opinion, her that was helping advance that, so he voted against her. He had a very good reason, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Rusty, great conversation today. Thank you so much for listening to Inside Sources. Join Taylor Morgan and Greg Skordas on Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. for more political discussion and analysis here on Inside Sources. Next up, Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News. Have a great weekend.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We're at 43 degrees. KSL's top story. The corrections officer who left his canine in the car to die won't face any charges. This happened just outside the state prison last year, but we're only just now finding out exactly what happened. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera joins us live with details. Eric?
Jeff, Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill says after finishing their investigation, he won't charge canine officer Jacob Nacarado for criminal negligence and called the death of canine Loki a preventable tragedy.
It was clear from the evidence that the officer mistakenly believed that he had taken the dog out and put it in the kennel. We can see him on video running away from out of the kennel into this truck to find that the dog had perished.
Even though their vehicles are equipped with a heat fail-safe system, Nacarado failed to turn it on. The prison has since implemented training for all officers so it won't happen again. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Thanks, Eric. Glenn Mills with the Utah Department of Corrections says they're taking every step to make sure this doesn't happen again.
We have already implemented some policy changes, and we are working on an authorized and official policy that is now in process, and we will be getting that done as soon as possible. However, we have already implemented a lot of those changes that will be taking place to prevent this in the future.
Mills says that the officer is still an employee but does not work with canines. He says the investigation is going to continue internally to decide what comes next. KSL News Time 3:02. We have breaking news at KSL News Radio. Officials in Huntsville have shut off the water. Water has been leaking out of the community's million-gallon storage tank. It is leaking so fast they can't refill it quickly enough, and residents are being urged to avoid washing clothes, filling bathtubs, and now word in just moments ago, they're shutting down the water. More than a dozen experts have been combing the system to find the source of the leak. The city says the water will continue to flow through pipes for a while, and then they'll update residents when the system is back up and running. Meantime, no water in Huntsville, Utah. KSL News Time 3:03. We'll continue to follow that story. Meantime, lawmakers in New Jersey are calling on the federal government to start talking about the big mystery drones that keep showing up over suburban communities there.
The fact that the federal agencies responsible for briefing the public have not come forward in a clear way is unacceptable. There has to be some explanation to the public for all this increased activity, and they must do so now.
That's Congressman Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey. This is the same guy who faked his Spotify Wrapped playlist
to make it look like he listens to Bruce Springsteen, which is a big deal in New Jersey. Internet sleuths noticed the font spacing on his playlist was wrong, and he got caught red-handed. Sort of seems like complaining about the drones might be an attempt to change the conversation. KSL News Time 3:03, a chemical linked to cancer has sparked the recall of a common